The Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, Week 6 rankings, breakdown, and debate by position. Remember, smash the like button. That's step 1. Step 2, go to the comment section, leave your DraftKings handle, and give me who you think is going to be the number 1 quarterback in terms of DraftKings points for Week 6. That could be anybody on the board because quarterback rankings are really tough to do because any quarterback could technically score the money. I guess any running back could as well, but some guys definitely aren't. Quarterbacks, it's up for grabs. So do that. Smash the like, leave your DraftKings handle, and who you think is going to be the number 1 quarterback for Week 6. Garion Thorne is here from DK Live.
I am.
Jake Ciely from The Athletic is here. They just hired Chris Meany.
They did.
If you've ever appeared on the Pat Mayo Experience and your name is not Garion Thorne, you now work for The Athletic.
Shouldn't have lowballed Nando.
I know.
Cut the legs out from that relationship. Wasn't a smart move.
Jake, very quickly before we get into it, some people will be watching this on Tuesday night, most after the fact, so just very briefly, are you spending a number 1 waiver priority on Clement, Morris, or Smallwood? Because I don't think that I am unless I legit have no one.
Oh, are you going to include Charles in that too? No, I'm not.
No, I'm not including Jamal Charles in this.
No, I'm not. The only one would be Alfred Morris if, as you said, if I need somebody, maybe my second running back sucks and the other one's on a bye this week, maybe it's Kamara and somebody else. Like, that's the only situation is Alfred Morris because it sounds like Matt Breida should be out this week, but it could probably just be a 1-week thing. Or we get to Sunday and he's playing anyway. So I that would be the only one. I'm not screwing around with the Eagles backfield.
If you had to, because, I mean, there is opportunity there, would you go Clement or Smallwood? Because I would go Clement by a hair over Smallwood in this spot.
Smallwood's outplayed him so far this entire season.
I think that's fair, and I think they're so close to you can go with recency bias. I mean, Smallwood has just played better. I'm in a league where I literally have no running backs. It's a 14-man league, and I spent 60% of my fab on Smallwood. Now, granted, he's the one of the 3 available, so you kind of have to weight those options too.
Does it make any sense to put in like a $0 bid for Darren Sproles just for your bench?
Sure, 100%.
Only PPR.
Yeah, only
PPR, but it's a 1-game sample, so I don't really know how much we can trust here. But I guess if you go back through his history utilizing Darren Sproles, the fact that he led the team in snaps week 1 isn't. It's not unsignificant, I'll say that, but or insignificant if I'm using actual words. But yeah, I think if all the attention is focused on those 2 guys, you're right. You can get Sproles for incredibly cheap right now.
Yeah, it's tough. If you had to stash one, Jake, would it be Donta Foreman or would it be Ronald Jones?
Ooh, Ronald Jones, because at least he's playing this week and he's likely going to get the start. Now, it's probably going to only be first and second down, but that's Deonta Foreman as well. He's not going to be playing in the pass catching situations for that team, whether or not Lamar Miller's healthy. It'll be somebody else. It might even be Blue if Lamar Miller wasn't healthy and Deonta Foreman was actually out there. So they're in similar roles in the fact that you're not going to see a lot of PPR value from them, the boost, I should say. But at least Ronald Jones is this week. So I'll go with Jones first.
I would stash Foreman only because I just think he's better.
Well, I would say you still might have a chance to stash Foreman in like week 7, week 8. Possibly
he could be back next week.
Look, it's true he could, but I'm just saying I think the odds of him having a massive game sometime in the next 3 weeks are far less likely than the odds of Ronald Jones having like a breakout against the Falcons, and then you're never touching Ronald Jones for the rest of the season. So I think the urgency to add Ronald Jones would take the precedent over the possible future of Donta Foreman.
Kind of last week.
Yeah. All right. So everyone hit the description. That's where the updated rankings will be because as everyone who's watched this show in the past knows that sometimes I change up the rankings.
No.
Seems like something you shouldn't be allowed to do.
I know, yeah. I have to lock them in on Tuesday afternoon.
If you're really a fantasy football expert, you should know now what your rankings are going to be.
Listen, as anyone who's familiar with this show knows, Pat Mayo, not an expert.
Loose rankings.
Yeah, very loose rankings when it comes to stuff. So let's talk about running backs.
You sure about that? I was supposed to apologize to you for arguing James Conner last week.
Oh, Garion said drop him, so.
I don't think I said drop him.
Oh, okay. Then that's what I took away from the conversation.
Yeah, that's fair.
Running backs for this week, the guys that I have in and out, this is going to be like really tough because since we've come on air, Adrian Peterson now looks like he's going to play. I had him as out, so we'll have to put him in the rankings at some point. But I have Dalvin Cook, Chris Thompson, Corey Clement, Lamar Miller, and Marlon Mack as playing. Fournette, Sproles, Breda, and Gio Bernard is not playing, along with Le'Veon Bell, Corey Grant, and Jay Ajayi done for the year. And Peterson I'll move to in after we finish recording, but we'll slot him in after we go through the rankings. At the very top, we got Todd Gurley, Melvin Gordon, Christian McCaffrey, Joe Mixon, James Conner, Ezekiel Elliott, Kareem Hunt, David Johnson, Saquon Barkley on Thursday night. Back spasms looks like it was just a spasm, no big deal. And then TJ Yeldon at number 10. That goes into the Patriots running backs, White and Michelle, Lynch, then Hyde, Dalvin Cook, Jordan Howard, Devonta Freeman, Chris Thompson, Chris Carson, and Dion Lewis. Jake, if I'm going to insert Adrian Peterson as if he's going to play, should I move Chris Thompson around, put Adrian Peterson in? What do you think?
Yeah, so I initially had Chris Thompson highlighted because I saw you didn't have Adrian Peterson in, and I would say he needed to be higher without Adrian Peterson in. So now I actually think that's not that bad of a spot. I mean, really, we're talking full point PPR with your rankings as always. And to be honest, I mean, you're talking about the split. The split backfield of the Seahawks is not going to be that successful every single week where both of them end up being that useful in top 15. So if you're telling me in a full point PPR with Adrian Peterson still nursing a shoulder issue and in a matchup where I think it'll still be somewhat pass heavy, I think Chris Thompson, if anything, moves back 2 or 3, maybe behind Philip Lindsay, but that's about it.
So I drop him from like 18 to 22. What do you think? Would you play Shady or Chris Thompson this week, Garion?
I'd play Chris Thompson. I mean, Shady, we at least saw him get a role.
There was
that
life.
resembled something we assumed he would have earlier in the season.
Okay, but people are now saying, like, there's no doubt LaShawn McCoy is going to be traded to the Eagles. I don't know about that.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like something that's set in stone.
Well, because they're all also people are like, oh yeah, the Eagles have 2 second-round picks. We'll just trade one for Le'Veon Bell or David Johnson. Like, I don't know if they're going to do that.
Jordan Howard rumors. There's a lot of weird rumors floating around right now.
The Le'Veon Bell one made sense because they could trade both second rounders, and then at worst case scenario they get a third if Bell left. The LaShawn McCoy makes more sense if they give up less and don't give up a second rounder because it's honestly surprising the Bills have held on to him at this point anyway.
Shady does make the most sense. I think that a second round pick is way too much to give up for Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. If they could do it for less, I want to give up a second rounder for LaShawn McCoy at this point.
No, I know. But also for
it's...
Le'Veon Bell too. I wouldn't give up a second round pick for a guy who's going to walk at the end of the year. That seems crazy.
You don't know that he's going to. I think that if you're going to go to a team that was just in the Super Bowl, that just won the Super Bowl, and that it has look how long this roster has. 80% of it signed up for the next 3 years. I think you might be able to convince Le'Veon Bell. Plus, it's not that far away from where he was just playing.
Yeah, I just don't think Doug Peterson would want to sign Le'Veon Bell to a long-term deal. I just think he's
why? Because he can't go committee?
Yeah, that's the thing. I think he's the antithesis of what he believes about running backs. I think he has running back value and how that works within the cap down to a T. Like, that's one of the best parts of Doug Peterson's coaching philosophy. I think it'd be great if you're gifted him this season, but I don't really think he fits with that coach.
All right, so if I'm thinking about it, like Freeman, which Atlanta running back would you play, Jake?
Freeman.
Yeah.
Freeman. I have Freeman at 17. Where do I have Coleman? I have Coleman at 32. Freeman even looked better last week.
Yeah, I mean, he looked healthy.
He looked better, but he still didn't look like 100% Freeman. Like I think that he was kind of getting back into it. I expect better this week.
And there's also they were still using Ito Smith. I think he played like 17% of the snaps.
Yeah, it was 39, 38, 17.
3 carries, 1 touchdown.
Yeah, like is he like their goal line back now? Because he did this the week before too.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Gary.
I was just going to say, I have no idea. I really don't.
I was going to say, this is my legitimate concern because it's the Devonta Freeman. He wants to go head first into everything, and maybe they're forcing the issue in the fact of like, all right, well, if you're not going to stop doing that, we're not going to risk you at the goal line.
Maybe. The Cam Newton theory?
Yeah, well, the Cam Newton theory where they actually have somebody to replace him with.
Yeah.
So in terms of the actual overall rankings, I think once you go 1 to 14, those are the 14 guys that are must starts. And then you get into tricky territory. I think down to Carlos Hyde, I'm not going to be too concerned that he wasn't able to get much going against Baltimore. I think he can get stuff going against the Chargers. He's still their lead guy, although Duke played the majority of the snaps last week. I think that's more of an aberration than anything. Then you get into Cook, and then Howard, Freeman, Thompson, Carson, Lewis. Those guys are still crapshoots. I don't know how healthy Cook is, but it looks like he's going to play.
If Cook practices Thursday, if we get an advanced practice where it's not just he showed up Friday for a limited part, if he's actually practicing Thursday and Friday, I would say he's a must start because the Arizona Cardinals are only second to the Lions and giving up for running backs.
Yeah, I will say some of that is script dependent. Not that they're going to change their script anytime soon. I mean, I think they've had 5 rushing attempts more per game against them than any other opponent, and that speaks more to their offense and their defense. But you play Dalvin Cook because he's Dalvin Cook, and if he's actually active, you assume he's going to get the lion's share of the work. But I don't think he's an RB1 for me or anything just because of the matchup. I still have serious concerns about his health. I have serious concerns about his offensive line.
I thought when he was healthy for the first 2.5 weeks of the season, he looked really good.
Sure, but I mean, and Jake, I'm kind of curious your thoughts on this. The Vikings, just total reliance on the pass to this point of the season. Does that say more about what they want to do as an offense, knowing how bad their offensive line run blocks, or is that just sort of cause and effect of Dalvin Cook? Like when Cook comes back, are they all of a sudden going to be running the ball 40% of the time?
No, I think it's a little bit. I think it's a culmination of everything. It's also the fact that Latavius Murray hasn't looked good like he did last year at times. I mean, Latavius Murray, if Cook is out, you're almost forced to start him, but he's looked junk. I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
And maybe it's because of the offensive line, but he's doing them no favors in the fact of why you're going to turn to him. So I think part of it's the offensive line. I think part of it is Latavius Murray. I would expect them to start to run more with Dalvin Cook, and Dalvin Cook will also be used in the passing game more than Latavius Murray would be. But at the same time, I don't think it's all of a sudden going to be like, all right, let's run 55-45. And I know you only said 40. I'm just saying, I don't think that shift's going to be a dramatic change over what's happened so far because the offensive line's such an issue.
So if we include Dalvin Cook, if he's playing as one of the lock 15, is there anyone else that you would put into that? Garion, do you see anyone else that's you got to play that guy? Or is everyone else then up for debate?
I think everyone's up for debate. I mean, I guess you could make the case that this is a Howard script.
So was Tampa.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess it was. I don't really know how at this point you can just guarantee Jordan Howard's going to get a bunch of work. I mean, the offense seemed to be moving the ball better when Cohen was in the backfield. I think that could definitely just be an aberration. It's the lone time this offense has looked good all season outside of their opening scripted drive. I think he's right where he is. I think he is the most logical argument to be within that class. So having him just outside of it makes sense. But
I think there are concerns.
Well, sure, there are.
No. Well, how are we phrasing your question, Pat? Are we phrasing your question as in it's a must start no matter what your team is, or is it
when we're talking about these rankings, you could make a case if you really like Dion Lewis versus Baltimore this week, Dion Lewis is the pure kryptonite. We just saw Duke Johnson play all these snaps against Baltimore. Dion Lewis more fits that mold. He can get going in the receiving game. I think that his floor is better than Jordan Howard's. You could theoretically make a case that Dion Lewis should be ranked above Jordan Howard. I think Jordan Howard's going to be better, so I rank Jordan Howard higher. I think that he is the guy that you start making that case against. I think the other guys, everyone else behind them. You could say Eckler. Eckler could be 16.
Yeah.
Right. So I guess your question is, where's the cutoff where you can't argue people behind them?
Yes.
Okay, then I would say it's Cook. I would, because I think you can. I'm the apologist for Jordan Howard. I'm telling people to go out there and trade for him right now because you're not going to get him any cheaper than what just happened. But if we have another game like that, and we have another game where he's like, oh, you know what? Game script felt like Tariq Cohen this week, and we're going to go Tariq Cohen again. I mean, there's probably at least 2 or 3 more of these games coming. Is trying to predict when they are, because Garion's right. It's a matchup which should be Howard. But to your point, you're right as well. Last week, or not 2 weeks ago now, was supposed to be a Jordan Howard game. I had Jordan Howard on DraftKings because I was using him as the pivot of Giovanni Bernard in a couple lineups, thankfully not all of them, and the fact that it was supposed to be run out the clock.
21-30, got Philip Lindsay, Shady McCoy, Austin Eckler, Alfred Morris, Corey Clement, Bilal Powell, Isaiah Crowell, because flip a coin, Kenyon Drake, Aaron Jones, and Wendell Smallwood. Obviously, both you guys like Smallwood over Clement. I think that if Clement's healthy with the squad and he's already practicing, that even in the game where we saw Smallwood outscore him, Clement played more snaps, Clement got more work. It just, the touchdown went to Smallwood, although Clement got first shot at it, he just didn't get in.
Yeah, again, I don't feel positively about any of these guys. Just because Jay Ajayi is no longer involved, I don't think this is a sunny fantasy situation all of a sudden. It's murky. We're going to have weeks where, these guys are given similar workloads, and like you said, it's just about who happens to really maximize the high leverage opportunities inside the red zone. And right now, Smallwood has been better, but that's not to say that we weren't all enamored with Corey Clement last season, so I don't think that guy has just gone away. I think you're right where you have him. I don't think, unless something monumental changes in the next 2 or 3 weeks, I don't think you can have either of these guys as an RB2. But I think you're safe having both as an RB3. it's a cop-out answer, but it's a cop-out offense. Like it's
Well,
truly a committee
Well,
offense.
it's also one of these things where if anyone tells you like they actually know what's going on, they're lying. But in the game of rankings, you got to pick one. It's like on the waiver pickup. Like you're not gonna pick both of them up. That's
that's
crazy.
fair. But there are certain situations where we'll say like if we have this guy up here, we just have to have the other guy down here.
Yeah, that's how it correlates.
This is a rare situation, much like how when all three Rams wide receivers are healthy, they're all wide receiver 2s or better. There are certain particular situations where you're just like, look, they're both RB3s. And that's kind of how it works here. Do I think they'll both finish as an RB3? No. Someone's going to score the touchdown. But I don't know how you can really sit here and tell me this person's going to have the most opportunity or the goal line crack because there is no way to know.
Jake, over under 16.5 touches for Alfred Morris Monday night against the Packers.
Well, I think that all depends on Breida.
If Brady doesn't play, I'm going. He has a mid ankle sprain. They got to sit him out at least 1 week.
Then I would say over.
See,
Who else? They're going to turn to Juice Chicken, and he'll be the passing option. But I don't think they're not going to keep using. Who else are they turning to as the third option? I mean, really, it's going to be Alfred Morris and Juice Chick. So
they have Mozart. Raheem
and who
Mozart.
fumbled and looked terrible. What was it, like 4 carries for 1 yard? I mean, he looked terrible and fumbled the ball. So
he's
like,
one of those rare
Mostert's
guys too, where sometimes you'll have a backup running back on the roster and think like, oh, this guy could walk into an opportunity. He's a great special teams player. That's why he made the 53-man roster. He is in no way the guy that they're like, we have to give this guy 20 touches per game.
Real quick to go back to the Eagles, though. If you're looking at the Giants situation, the reason I'm going Smallwood, especially also in this matchup too, is because granted they're both good, but a little bit more in the passing game, and this is why I love your Darren Sproles calls, because the running backs the Giants have been struggling with are the ones in space. And if you saw what they did against Ezekiel Elliott, they actually did pretty well when he was running up the middle because you have Snacks Harrison and they struggle on the outside in the space more than they do up the middle. So that's why I would lean a little bit towards Smallwood, but even more so Sproles.
Well, it's kind of strange. I mean, Sproles probably isn't going to play in this matchup, but it's not like Clement can't catch out of the backfield. Like last year when we looked at it, and it was Blunt and it was Ajayi, Clement was the guy they brought in to pass to. It just seems like now he's upgraded his role. Now Smallwood's the guy they pass to, but it's not like he can't catch the ball.
Yeah, I just think it's juxtaposition. Like when you look at him next to Smallwood is clearly the more pass-oriented back. I think he's more talented in the passing game. I do. But when you compare him to LeGarrette Blount and Jay Ajayi, he looks like Jerry Rice. So I think some of it is just optics, but you're right. Like I said, Clement is a very talented running back. He's fine in both aspects of the game, which is why I think it's just such a wash. I would say
avoid it.
It's tough.
You probably can't, though. That's the thing.
Jake, when you're you and all your teams are good, it's one thing not to avoid it. When you're me and your teams fucking are just awful, you're like, oh man, do I start Alfred Morris or Bilal Powell this week?
Yeah, that's a great
discussion. And then you're just like, oh, I'm 0-6. Great. Shouldn't have done this.
On that note, though, I would move Aaron Jones up.
No.
Look, they're 9.5-point favorites.
That's great.
At
That's
home.
fucking fantastic. They're going to throw 900 times anyway.
It's possible, but I would say when you look at the way the snaps were distributed in that game, it was a crazy script where they were down 24 points. And at that point, you do use Ty Montgomery in the passing game. You do use Jamal Williams, who is the better pass-blocking running back. I just think he got
let's be honest,
scripted
Ty
out of
Montgomery
that.
didn't get that much more than Aaron Jones even.
That's true. Like I just feel like this is the script. And maybe you swing and miss on this one, but
I think that there needs to be a modicum of like pensiveness here. In terms of the rank,
look, I'm not saying you have him at 16.
The only guy I would feel good about putting him ahead is Kenyon Drake.
Nah,
I think everyone's role is a bit more solidified than Aaron Jones, who might be the third best running back on his team by the end of the week.
I would have Jones ahead of Corey Clement.
Why?
I just where I don't even have a semblance of figuring out what the narrative of that Thursday night game is and what the narrative even means to the running backs. Like I said, I have a strong opinion that the Packers are going to be winning this game.
But how do we even know that benefits Aaron Jones? Maybe he's a guy we want to play 30% of the snaps.
Maybe I don't know that because I can't tell the future. But what I'm saying is I feel strongly that that's the case where I don't have an inkling as to what's going on in Philadelphia.
You can, because if they're not passing, they don't need Jamal Williams out there.
Yeah, that's true because he can't run. I think he's proven that.
They're still going to give him carries.
Look,
they give everyone carries.
No.
They give everyone snaps. They give everyone carries. And they're like, oh, you know what we're going to do? We're going to throw to Equinemius St. Brown. We'll just do that
No,
instead.
actually, that's the one person they haven't thrown to yet.
No, they were taking shots with him down the field.
A couple.
There was a handful. The point was that Jamal Williams gets in there because they are passing, and you have to kind of keep things like it can't be that obvious. It can't be Jamal Williams is on the field because he can only pass block compared to everybody else, and Aaron Jones is on the field, so they must be running. So they have to mix it up a little bit. But in a game where they shouldn't need to pass like they were last week, in a game where, to Garion's point, you look at the spread, you look at the favor here, it should be an Aaron Jones game. At least we have that. We know this should be a Packers lead. We know that means Aaron Jones. With the Eagles, we could say, even if it was a dominant win, we still don't know who the running back is.
Yeah.
I think there's a chance that both Smallwood and Clement touch the ball more than Aaron Jones.
It's on the table. That's fine.
I'd be more willing to bank on that. There's
okay. Your rankings.
I have Jones as the number one Packers backfield option.
Yes.
I'm throwing this out here. The Packers might be terrible.
Well, Mike McCarthy might lose his job, which means Aaron Jones dynasty stock going up. I just feel like this is the game where I can predict a script and predict who actually benefits from that script.
Kenyon Drake.
I don't know. He's a third down back now. He's a glorified third down back. Frank Gore was in on first and second down, and I want to say 80% of their series. Which, by the way,
Gore got twice as many carries.
It's now been 5 weeks, and I don't think the Dolphins have run 60 plays in a game yet. This is now beyond small sample size. They've had some weird scripts. They had lightning delays. Blah blah. They cannot possess the football. That's an issue because if they score, it's on a 75-yard play. It's about all they got. So I mean,
is Drake too high then?
It's tough.
PBR.
I would say again, I would have Aaron Jones ahead of Kenyon Drake.
I can make that concession.
Yeah.
I'll make that concession. Aaron Jones, one above. Would you play?
I think I'd play Coleman over him too.
Colemania, who runs
it's just
wild?
a higher scoring game.
Maybe. What about Juszczyk? That's 6 catches in the bank.
I guess.
If you want to say floor.
Yeah. What are you playing Kenyon Drake for?
I guess there's
For
still
the
ceiling.
ceiling.
He scored a touchdown, but even his ceiling, what's his actual ceiling? What are we talking about? 10 carries, 70 yards, and a touchdown?
Drake?
Yeah.
His ceiling is RB1, which you just saw last week.
No, but that's easy to say because he was one at one time, but realistically, we're talking about a team that runs the second fewest plays per game, has the second lowest time of possession in the NFL. If he gets 65% of the work, that's still 13, 14 carries.
And what if pre-bye Mitch Trubisky shows up again and throws for just even 3 or 4 touchdowns, and it is pass happy mode again for the ceiling? But the point is, the ceiling with Drake, you asked, the ceiling with Drake is RB1. That's why he's a boomer bust play. He's a terrible floor. It's beyond most floor running backs that you even have in the 30s, but that's why he's the boomer bust play.
All right, so 31-40. I got Juszczyk, Coleman, or Jerzrek, as I like to call him.
They pronounced it right on the Fox broadcast, and it threw me for a loop.
They pronounced it like how it's actually pronounced, not hilariously pronounced. No. Ice Cream Cohen at number 33. Mike Davis, Ronald Jones, Jamal Williams, Buck Allen, Royce Freeman, Rocket Richard, and Naheem Hines. I have 40, the top ranked of the Colts running backs, but I expect Marlon Mack to be back this week.
I think he has to be higher.
I don't care.
And I know I was the one last week who said his numbers correlate poorly with Mac being active
In the one game,
which
but
I
now
think is
Turbin's
important.
back as well.
But he was so utilized in that game. I mean, I feel like Mac coming back could honestly just eliminate Wilkins. That could be the scenario.
That could be the case, but the Jets' defense is not bad.
No, it's not.
For one thing.
But I think that the way to attack, if you're a running back, the archetype you'd prefer to be against the Jets is the scat pass-catching running back as opposed to the guy who's going inside the tackles.
I don't have a whole lot of confidence this week. Maybe I could move him. I have Aaron Jones down, so to correlate the rankings, I need to move someone up, and that would be Jamal Williams for me. But Ronald Jones is the big...
Hines over Williams.
Would you play him over Buck Allen?
I play Buck Allen over Jamal Williams.
All right, so it's Jamal Williams who I have too high then, so I have to move Jamal Williams down. Jamal Williams or Royce Freeman?
Royce.
Jamal Williams or Rocket Richard?
I would play Jamal Williams
over
Richard.
Now I'm starting to think I'd rather play Richard. Richard's great. He's so good.
Richard's a game script. You called it last week, but he's game script.
He is, but this could be a game where Oakland could get down to anybody.
That is very true. Although for a while though they were always getting the lead, so it's very interesting.
So move Williams, move Hines, one spot behind Freeman.
I'd go even higher.
So you go Hines. I mean, would you go Hines or Ronald Jones?
I think I'd have Hines behind Ronald Jones, but I would even
And
have
a
Ronald
full
Jones a
Jones
little bit
winner.
higher.
I'm playing Buck Allen over Naheem Hines.
I think that's fair. I mean, look, they're very similar in role, except that we know Buck Allen's going to get the goal line carry. So if you want that to be your differentiation, fine.
Okay, so I'll move Hines behind Buck Allen, Williams behind Freeman.
Honestly, Jacquizz could have a better game than Ronald Jones.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I mean, Peyton Barber could have a better game than him too.
I think Jacquizz Rodgers, he is the running back that fits the archetype that they've had trouble with, but I mean, really, no team has utilized their running backs less in the passing game than the Bucs. Like Rodgers has 7 targets this season? Like it's, I mean,
Right.
Yes, compared to the other backs, he's the guy, but that's not a whole lot.
What does Peyton Barber have? 2 catches, I think.
Well,
Jones.
Jones has 2 targets in a game. He only played 20
I'm
snaps.
not making an argument for Jones because Jones can't catch worth it. For everybody that wants to complain and say Jordan Howard can't pass catch with this mythological Jordan Howard has no hands from last year. Everything that was in people's minds, that's who Ronald Jones actually is. So
Yeah.
that's where I'm saying if there's pass catching in this game with the running backs and Jameis Winston starts to bring that back a little bit, unlike Fitzpatrick, I'm looking at Jacquizz Rodgers in this game.
Who plays the most snaps?
I think Jones does. I honestly don't. That's why I have Jones at 35. He has the best matchup of the week on paper.
I don't know that he has. Look, well, let's say, what if the Falcons get up 20-3 real quick? Then I think actually Rodgers might outsnap him.
Maybe
Because you don't.
Yeah.
Well, here's the one thing.
But I don't think
Ronald
you can-
Jones might be. Ronald Jones might be able to catch a pass or two. The one thing he definitely can't do is pass block. He is not going to be on the field if they're passing a lot.
I just feel like if you're playing in a season-long league, I can see myself starting Ronald Jones. I don't think I can see myself starting Jacquizz Rodgers because
It's Jacquizz. I found that out. I kept. I thought it was
Jacquizz. Okay.
Yeah, it's Jacquizz.
But he's so script dependent, and I think that even. Like I said,
He's script dependent.
I guess he's the pass catching running back, but he's not even really done that exceedingly well so far this season.
He's script dependent, who might not even be a part of the script. There's such his floor is just 0. He has
100%,
floor.
yeah. Where Jones, at least you'd assume his floor in a PPR
Listen,
is
if
7 points?
Jones has upside in this matchup, if it's him over Barber as the lead back against Atlanta,
Right.
They all come
I'm
with
just saying-
absolutely no floor. I would just play Jones over the other two, and if I'm going to play him, I'm putting him into the
the
situation
point
that I want to
was-
play him. What?
The point was Buck Allen, Naheem Hines, and these other people in front of Ronald Jones as well. It's more it's more moving Jamal Williams and Jones back together.
I don't know if I'd move Jones back.
I wouldn't.
think you
I'm
have to
keeping
keep him
Jones
in
where I am
RB3
because
territory.
that's an upside play. If you're playing Ronald Jones, you're hoping he's going to be the guy and he gets to face Atlanta and get 15 touches against Atlanta, and that's worth more than all
And
these
again,
other guys.
I'm not saying he's necessarily going to take this role, but I mean, we do constantly crap on how underutilized the Tampa Bay running backs have been. But if you go back to week 1 and week 2, I mean, Peyton Barber was 3rd in the NFL in carries. He just wasn't doing anything with them. And
You just suck. But I mean, how is that? You're saying it's worth more. How is that worth more than Naheem Hines being involved in the passing game as much as he is and getting red zone targets?
Because I don't know if he's going to be that involved in the passing game this week in a game that should be a bit closer.
Marlon
In a
Mack
game
back.
with Marlon Mack back. That
still
I
fuck
don't
Marlon
think.
Mack.
I don't.
Keep
Do
him
you
in.
honestly give me let's make a bet here? Do you think he plays over under 60% of the snaps this week? Naheem Hines.
Who?
Naheem Hines. We're gonna take the strong under.
Well, I'm not gonna bet he gets over 60% of the snaps. He doesn't need to. I don't
Well,
think
I mean,
has
but
he even got over 60%.
Yeah,
of the
he
snaps
played
yet?
69
Yeah,
last week. He played 71 the week before, and all the games where Mack hasn't been there, he's been on the field by far more than any other Colts back this week. That's just
All
not
right,
going to
so
be the
he's
case.
probably right around 60 this week, so he loses 10%. I'll still take that over the uncertainty of Ronald Jones.
Look, I'm for moving. I don't think I'd move Jones up significantly. I'm pro both. I don't think you have to move
All right, so
one down just to justify the other.
Pick a side, damn it.
After talking this through, I'm going to go Jones, Buck Allen, Hines, Freeman, Williams, and then Rocket Richard.
Okay.
And I'm not moving up Miller, Alfred Blue. Blue would skyrocket if Miller was out, but
Apparently, he doesn't need to be out.
what do you mean?
I mean, he was active on Sunday
Yeah, but
night.
that was a clear case of he wasn't going to play.
Yeah, sure.
So if he was dressed last week for an emergency situation,
He should be
he's probably
fine
going to
this
play
week, yeah.
this week.
Sure.
And then you're back into a split situation. It's like, oh, great. One of them should have value against the Bills, maybe. Maybe. But I don't know which one, and I don't feel comfortable playing either one.
I mean, the Bills are at least somewhat intelligent in their game plan, which just seems to be keep the clock running,
Yeah.
which obviously does not help any other member of the team, especially running backs.
Garion mentioned this before we came on, Jake. Derrick Henry, should he move to worst place?
He was in my worst place to begin with. You know this. I railed on him the entire preseason. So if you want to put him there, I don't have no problem with him because he was already there for me.
Right now, he's 43 for me.
He really goes with Mark Ingram. They
does.
pair well together.
They are like the same guy.
No. Come on. Mark Ingram's actually good.
Well,
Here's
no,
the
if you
difference.
put Mark Ingram on Tennessee, he'd probably have negative points.
No.
Yeah.
Here's why. This is the only reason you don't drop Derrick Henry, because it's going to happen. Wait for the big game. Wait for the 2 touchdowns, or wait for when he breaks.
Yeah,
out
but
the
Jake,
61.
if he has 100 yards and 2 touchdowns, why would I sell him? He's too good.
You knew where I was going with it.
I do, of course. Is there anyone else down this list you want to make a case for as like playable?
Duke Johnson started getting back into the passing game mix last week, but that you said I'm not looking to move him up. You just said playable.
Yeah. You could play him. I think like if you play, I have Henry over Duke Johnson just based on the theoretical touchdown upside that comes with Derrick Henry. Yeah. Whether it's real or not, I don't know. Let's move to receiver.
Where's Jamal Charles?
I'm not putting in Jamal Charles. Why are people like are trying to make Jamal Charles a thing?
I don't.
Oh, absolutely. As
Why?
soon as the news broke.
Is it because they're like, oh man, I owned him 10 years ago. He was fantastic.
No, because of course there was a stat that came out that like in his last season it was 4.2 yards per carry, so there's still something left and blah blah blah.
I don't think that he has nothing left. He could have something left, but he's there to be TJ Yeldon's backup, who is going to be Leonard Fournette's backup once Leonard Fournette comes back. Like, how big of a role is he really going to have?
Probably play like 15 snaps this week.
Yeah, sure. That's great.
Yeah.
You're not playing him.
No.
Oh, where should I put Adrian Peterson in?
Oh, yeah.
I probably should have.
I thought we already covered that.
No, we didn't. We just talked about Chris Thompson, who I left at 18. Where should I put Peterson in?
I'd say like behind McCoy. Actually, behind Eckler, too.
Yeah, I would definitely play Eckler. I'd definitely play Morris over Peterson here. I mean,
I guess that's true. They are very similar in.
Can we expect him to be healthy, playing with like a sling on his shoulder?
Well, I think even if he was healthy, I wouldn't have him exceedingly high. I think he's an RB3 if he was 100% healthy.
It's a bad matchup.
It's a terrible matchup.
Crowell or Peterson? Probably Crowell, right?
I mean, the Colts running defense hasn't been terrible. No, I mean...
Drake, Aaron Jones, when I moved one spot ahead.
Yeah, that's true. I'd rather play Aaron Jones than Peterson.
All right, would you play Jones or Peterson?
I don't want to do either.
That's the that's the spot, right?
That seems like a good spot.
PPR, I'll go with Aaron Jones.
All right, so I'll go Aaron Jones. Would you go Drake or Peterson? Drake?
God.
Adrian Peterson.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll go Jones, Peterson, Drake.
That's fine.
Peterson. Okay. Oh, just 31 minutes on running backs. It's a new record. Wide receivers. Probably in, I have T.Y. Hilton, Sammy Watkins, Will Fuller, Geronimo Allison, Devontae Parker, Cooper Kupp, and Marquise Goodwin. I only put Cooper Kupp.
I was so curious about this.
I feel like one of them's going to play, so it doesn't matter which one it is.
Fair.
So if one of them plays, that's where that Rams receiver spot goes for me.
So you would have Woods ahead of...
Either way.
Okay.
Because Woods is playing.
Yes.
We know that. And we know Josh Reynolds is playing.
So it's Woods and then 16 is just Rams wide receiver?
Yes.
Okay.
I like Josh Reynolds. It's fun times.
It's great times. Listen,
good.
If they're both out, then he's
play.
a guy. Anyway, probably out. Randall Cobb, Dante Pettis, Travis Benjamin, John Ross, Rashard Higgins, Anthony Miller, and Brendan Cooks. This is going to be one where you should hit the updates later on in the week. I'll have my injury show on Friday. Like, all these guys are, not all of these guys, but a lot of these guys are real iffy to play. And we'll know more on Friday. Swear to God, we'll know. So the rankings themselves, we have Antonio Brown, Thielen, Green, Hill, Hopkins, Evans, Julio, Juju, Beckham, Devontae Adams. That goes into Keenan Allen, Robert Woods, Jarvis Landry, T.Y. Hilton, Stefan Diggs, Cooper Kupp, Jules Edelman, John Brown, Manny Sanders, the Colonel, and Corey Davis at number 20. Had a really bad feel for wide receivers this week.
I know we don't want to spend too much time in the top 10.
Stefan Diggs scares me.
Fair. I would have Beckham at 3, and you have him at 9.
Yeah, I don't care.
Again, it doesn't really matter, but
it doesn't.
It's a great matchup.
Sure.
Yeah, that's where you exploit the Eagles, especially in the slot too.
Yeah, it's also a situation where you have to make. The way that the Eagles have really been torched have been down the field passes. And I don't know if Eli's going to have a whole lot of time to throw down the field passes. Unless they start running trick plays again.
Just get Sterling Shepard to throw down then.
It's fair. I would just say that coming into this week, they'd allowed wide receiver. They were the only team in the league allowing wide receiver ones to get more than 100 yards per game, and it was like 124. And Adam Thielen, as has been highly publicized, also got 100 yards this past week. I just feel like he's a lock. And the thing with Green too, like, again, not that's a bad matchup, but it seems like Hayden is now going to be shadowing, which is
And here's the crazy thing: as bad as Eli's been, Odell Beckham's still third in the league in targets air yard percentage, only behind Julio Jones and John Brown.
John Brown.
There you go.
Love me some John Brown. Either way, you're playing both of them.
Yeah,
Who
I know.
cares?
Just saying.
Dig.
Why don't you start your rankings at 11, Pat?
Yeah, that's true. I'll just leave.
You did preface it with, we don't like to spend too much time on this.
Edelman, 17. I just feel like play guys in this game.
Yeah, that's a good point.
When in doubt, just look at the point totals. Be like, oh, this game has almost 60. I'll play those guys.
I said this last week. Like, there's only two things I trust Tom Brady on, and he came out and said, like, we expect Julian Edelman to hit the ground running. It's like, on pliability and whether or not Julian Edelman is a good fantasy play. Those are things to trust Tom Brady about. And yeah, he was perfectly fine in that game.
I have, where is he? Sterling Shepard at number 22. Now, I know Evan Ingram got in a limited practice today. Jake, if Ingram plays, should I bump down Sterling Shepard significantly? Because I feel like if Ingram is out, Shepard's a good play. When Ingram plays, not such a hot play.
100%. 100%. And you probably slide him back down to Alshon Jeffrey on the other side of that game.
I hate Alshon Jeffrey this week. Hate him.
I don't like him either. And
but
remember,
what do you do?
Wait. Is this going back to DeAndre Hopkins where I told you to chill out about him against Jenkins?
It was Michael Thomas.
Yeah, Michael Thomas.
Oh, Michael Thomas, whatever it was.
Yeah, it is a little bit. So I bumped up Aguilar to 34, but I think just Ertz is the slam play.
Yeah.
Oh, 100. Yeah, no question.
But I don't think Alshon is in, like, with the receivers, like, when we keep going down, like, at 21, like, Boyd, Shepard, Ridley, Fuller, Allen Robinson, Amari Cooper, Alshon Jeffrey, Funches, Deshaun Jackson, Michael Crabtree. Like, how much lower are you really putting Jeffrey?
That's the thing. The quality of wide receiver takes a real nosedive after Alshon Jeffrey. So it
does.
You'd still expect him to probably see somewhere in the realm of 7 to 9 targets in this game, whether or not he brings.
Yeah,
in more
but
than 3 or 4.
I would take Cooper, Jeffrey, and Funches, all the trio, and slide them all 3 of them would fall back behind Sanu for me.
Really?
Yes. Sanu's been so disrespected this season, and it's got.
I have him as a wide receiver 3.
A wide receiver 3. He's been wide receiver 2 over the past couple weeks. So
that's
you look
fine.
at
That's the past couple weeks.
And Nelson Aguilar, we just talked about in this matchup. We were like Alshon Jeffrey versus Jenkins, who's been, he has his one good game so far. Funches has been nothing, and he gets one of the, like, you look at the Washington matchup, that's not a great one for him. And then, are we still doing Amari Cooper? Like, how is Amari Cooper not in worst place?
I don't know. I just don't own him. I've never owned him, so I have no feel for it.
I guess the argument with Sanu, who, it should be noted, like, had a huge week last week, but that was an ideal spot. Like, the Steelers have been shredded.
He's had at least 11 more snaps than Calvin Ridley every single week.
This is what I was going to say. If we compare him to someone who's basically in the same exact setting, which is Josh Gordon, like, wouldn't you just play Sanu over Gordon? They're in the same high total spot, and we know Sanu is going to play like 70% of the snaps. Gordon could split like 40%.
Right. I'd rather play Gordon. That has like 4 touchdowns written all over it.
I'd rather play both of them than those 3. Those 3
I think they're great
receivers,
spots, both of them, but I'd rather play Sanu.
I don't know. Cooper. So you say Cooper, Jeffrey, and Funches would be the ones you'd move down?
I don't want to start any of those 3. They're all wide receiver 3s for me at this point. Actually, Cooper's a wide receiver 4. I don't even know why we're still doing this.
His potential for like to be a game breaker.
Oh my God! His potential for 3 games in 1 year.
That's fine, but were you going to be like, oh, you know who I'm starting? Geronimo Allison over Amari Cooper.
I will.
I definitely want my 9 points. Amari Cooper can put up 40.
To be fair, if Randall Cobb's not playing, I'd rather play Allison.
If it is your wide receiver 3 spot, that's where these guys are ranked as wide receiver 3s in a 12-team league. Why wouldn't you want the guy who's the 0 or 40-point guy?
Because Geronimo Allison has been doing the same thing. He was a wide receiver 2 before he got hurt. Again, he was scoring touchdowns. He was scoring 70, 80 yards a week.
You have Randall Cobb as out. I mean, I think if he's out, I would rather play Geronimo Allison.
That feels like he needs to score. To
beat Amari Cooper?
He doesn't.
Amari Cooper has a floor of 0. As you said, he could catch 1 pass and be better than Amari Cooper.
You also have to factor some upside into this.
Yeah, because wide receiver 2s in the Packers offense don't have high
there's
ceilings.
other guys on the Packers. I mean, you want to rank Aaron Jones at number 1, so if he's doing all the scoring, how does anyone else do anything?
I like Aaron Jones scoring because I say the Packers are going to be leading in this game by a significant margin. They have to pile up those points somehow.
Oh, if they're just going to do it by running, then? And Devontae Adams has to get his?
No, because look at what Valdez-Scantling did last week as the number 2.
Why would Scantling be completely written out here?
He's not going to be, but he's going to go back to the slot work, and Geronimo Allison is their number 2. I will take the number 2 Packers wide receiver, whoever it is, every single week over Amari Cooper.
I'm leaving Amari where he is. 3 touchdown week for Amari. May have to move him up.
Can we
May
definitively
have to even move him up.
Fair. But, I mean, at this point, is Jordy Nelson not the wide receiver 1 for the Raiders?
No. Jordy Nelson's
Seems like
he's
it.
definitely
There is no wide receiver 1. It's Jared Cook, unfortunately.
Oh, I'm not saying he is a wide receiver 1. I'm just saying they think he's the wide receiver 1.
Now, if they made it Seth Roberts, I'd be all in on that. Or Rocket Richard. Just convert him over to receiver.
Might as well at this
point.
point.
May have to
honestly.
rank him inside the top 10. I'm still enamored with the upside for Amari Cooper. Like I said, I don't have money on any team, so I don't really care.
Yeah.
I guess if you own him, I don't know why you would, but if you did, then you're probably just frustrated with him at this point.
I would think most people are, yeah.
Funches, I just think he's going to get a high enough target share. This is a better matchup than last week, if anything.
Yeah.
Not much.
It's better.
Okay. Not much.
It is better than last week.
I agree, but it's not much. It's not like it's a favorable matchup.
Yeah, but he's still the number 1 target in that offense besides McCaffrey. Like you can probably pencil him in. You can probably pencil him for what, 7 to 10 targets?
I mean, is
still
Olsen gonna be
doesn't
playing
always
in this
necessarily
game?
mean a lot.
I doubt it. I doubt Olsen's back yet.
Okay.
We'll see later on in the week.
They hinted, but yeah, we won't really know for sure.
Yeah,
but if Olsen's back, does that change your opinion on this?
Slightly, it might bump him down a bit.
Okay.
But like after that, like Deshaun Jackson, and I have Jackson at 29. I have Godwin at 45. Sort of like the lesser Ram situation. This is just a good spot.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a high scoring game. Play guys in that game. I prefer Jackson to Godwin, but Godwin's fine.
I mean, it's sort of tough to know. Like Godwin was the more utilized inside the red zone, but that was all with Fitzpatrick, so you kind of just have to throw that stuff out the window.
He's the better talent, but that doesn't mean who Winston likes.
Yeah.
31 to 40. I got Watkins, Gordon, Allison, Aguilar, Sanu, Quincy Enunwa, Demarius Thomas, Kiki Cutie, Doug Baldwin. Oh, poor Doug Baldwin, man. He's killing me. And Marquez Valdez Scantling. Jake, I saw you guys talking about Quincy Enunwa and now the fact that he's playing on the outside, not in the slot. That's detrimentally affected his target share. What do you make of Enunwa here?
I'm legitimately concerned, and it's not just the target share. It's now that he's drawing tougher matchups. If this is gonna continue going forward, and we don't have an answer, it was with Mike Clay, and then a couple other people got involved as well. We don't have the definitive answer. None of us do. We can't say this is going forward. Quincy Enunwa is going to be used on the outside and in 11s. We're going to see the curse in the slot, and this is definitively what they're doing going forward. And it had nothing to do with Chris Harris being the slot corner for the Broncos. It could have been a 1-week situation, but as Mike Clay pointed out, it happened the week before it started to happen. And now we had a healthy week. So if this is the situation going forward, if Quincy Enunwa is on the outside, he had, I think, 5 targets in that game and didn't catch a single one, had a couple drops even. He's got the tougher matchups. He needs to be in the slot. If this continues going forward, he becomes somebody that you can't really start. Jermaine Kearse might be a deep league flyer, but the only one we're looking at now is Robbie Anderson.
I am not buying that for a second. Not for a second.
Here, I
He's going to
feel
score
like
a 70-yard.
The
Robbie Anderson part. I'm not playing Robbie Anderson. You kidding me?
It's a good matchup.
If you're telling me the formation is Robbie Anderson, Quincy Enunwa, and Kearse in the slot, the only one I don't want to, but the only one I would play is Robbie Anderson at this point.
Yeah.
I'd still take my chances with that. We go back to what we saw.
Look, he's boomer bust.
Then
100%.
I mean, yeah, he is completely boomer bust.
But Indianapolis is allowed, I believe it's 72% completion rate. Like, they have a terrible pass defense. I just feel like one of these guys has a good game.
They have a terrible pass defense, but the Jets have a very bad offensive line, and the Indy has a surprisingly good pass rush.
They do.
They're top 5 right now in adjusted sack rate. So if he has to get the ball out quickly, that's Powell, that's a new one. Maybe it's Kearse instead. I don't know. But I'd take my chances on the guy that at least looked good through 4 weeks and was dealing with a hand injury last week, or at least that was the excuse they made for him on the broadcast.
I would just say where all these guys. Go ahead, Jake.
I prefaced it with if Enunwa is outside. If last week continues, then I only want Robbie Anderson. If Enunwa slides back to the slot, I'm all over him. He was terrific through the first 4 weeks. He needs to be in the slot. The only way we're going to get the answers watching the game is if they did that as a game script to avoid Chris Harris or not.
All right, but we're not going to know that coming into the week. So pick in PPR, pick one Jets receiver to start.
I think I'd
None. I don't want to start.
You got to just pick one.
I'd start Robbie Anderson.
I would start Quincy Enunwa.
I just feel like Jake said, if you bake in the unknown of whether or not he's playing the slot or not, let's just say that takes away, in theory, 2 or 3 targets. You're left with someone who really doesn't have that high a ceiling. Like, his entire value was he was catching 10 passes per game.
Yeah.
Where Anderson at least has ceiling. Like, again, it could be a big fat 0, but at this point, he's a flex play at best. Like, that's the only situation where you're going to have to play Robbie Anderson.
I would still much rather play Enunwa. I would take the chance that they get him back involved.
Okay, that's fair.
Rather than Sam Darnold just completing 70-yard touchdown passes.
On that note, though, I would have Doug Baldwin ahead of Quincy Enunwa. I think we've
too.
overreacted to Doug Baldwin here. The Raiders are eviscerated by receivers in the slot. Like, I realize that
And they have zero pressure on the quarterback. The pressure percentage is a 5.8. The next lowest is 8.8. Another 3 percentage points. Like they don't get after the quarterback at all. So if you want Russell Wilson to finally have time with a terrible offensive line, I'm with you. Doug Baldwin needs to be higher. And I know it was just 1 week, but it's not that bad of a matchup. It's actually a pretty decent matchup. I'm back on Demaryius Thomas actually showing a sign of life.
I think I prefer Sanders. Like, I just really prefer Sanders. And, like, I know it did.
I like Sutton, too.
And Sutton might just be better than Demaryius Thomas now. They're not necessarily
true, but they haven't given that opportunity yet. He's been out there, but they haven't made the switch. Until they make the switch, Demaryius Thomas showed back up last week.
They haven't made a massive switch, but I will say, like, if you look at the amount of targets Sutton's on pace for versus, like, the third receiver we've seen for the Broncos the last 6 seasons, like, it's clear they've made some sort of alteration in their play. Like, Benny Fowler was on pace for, like, 56 targets last season.
Yeah, well, the people don't realize the Broncos run a high level of 3 wide sets. It's just they don't pass to the third wide receiver a lot.
Sure.
All right, so Sanu or Baldwin?
Baldwin.
I'll stick with Sanu.
Sanu.
All right.
Baldwin.
You would play Baldwin over Sanu?
Yes.
So you'd have Baldwin way up then. You would have Baldwin at like 25.
I have him as a sleeper. I am a sleeper because people don't want to start him. I am Doug Baldwin matchup this week.
That's the thing. I had Sanu ahead of Gordon, so I would still have Sanu ahead of Baldwin, but I'd have Baldwin like. Let's see. I would have Sanu ahead of Funchess, and then I would have Baldwin behind him.
So you'd have Sanu at number 28.
Yeah. And then I would have Baldwin at 29.
Does that mean I have to bump down Calvin Ridley? They all can't be good, can they?
It's a 57 projected point total.
Yeah.
I mean, look, Julio's going to get 150 yards but not score any touchdowns, and then they'll each get a touchdown. That's fine.
What if Hooperton does stuff again?
That's possible.
Takes it away from everyone.
I again, like we've seen teams be able to sustain a 3 wide receiver workload and each have them be top 30 guys. Like, I'm not saying they are the Rams, but they're scoring at the same level.
But the Lions don't, though. The Lions don't sustain top 30 numbers for each of their guys every single week. They just don't.
Oh, I was talking about just overall.
Yeah.
Like, those are 3 guys that you can theoretically play any week, all 3 of the Lions receivers.
Yes.
But again, that's far more concentrated because there's no tight end to get involved. Matt Ryan throws to weirdos in this offense.
I'm not denying that. Like, they don't have the target concentration that the Rams do. But I do think we're in a situation now where it's just such a high implied team total where I don't mind having all 3 inside the top 30.
All right, you know what? I'll move Sanu up 1 spot just ahead of Nelson Aguilar. I'd still rather play Watkins. I'd still rather play Josh Gordon.
Okay.
I'll move, I guess, Enunwa. Would you play Enunwa or Kiki?
I think I just play Kiki.
Nah, I think Fuller was a decoy last week.
He could be again this week.
I mean, but
I don't want to think. I mean, I was going to put Enunwa all the way back behind it, Mike Williams. So we're not going to have a conversation where you and I agree to this.
All right. Well, where do you think Enunwa should go? So I'm open to moving him down.
Behind Mike Williams.
That's not a terrible spot to put him.
All right. So I'm moving Enunwa down behind Mike Williams. So I'll cross him off, put him at number 45, and I'll move
to
up,
your point.
And I'll move up Doug Baldwin to. Would you play Baldwin or Aguilar, Garion?
Oh, Baldwin.
All right, but Doug Baldwin is going to go right there behind Mohamed Sanu.
Sure.
There you go. Well, we'll split the difference. That's where I'm going to put it.
That's kind of what we got to do.
So it's going to go Allison, Sanu, Baldwin, Aguilar.
Right. And the reason I have a new one there is because of the risk. You're 100% right. If he's back in the slot, he's going to finish significantly higher. That's going to be the decision of the owner to make.
If Kupp and Cooks both sit, how high does Josh Reynolds go?
That's a good question. I think
the 30s.
30s?
I was going to say, it's interesting because I'd have him behind Baldwin, but I again would have Baldwin higher. But I think he definitely is a wide receiver 3.
Like, would you play Allen Robinson or Josh Reynolds?
No, I still play Josh Robinson. Are you, really?
Oh, I thought you were saying who would be high. Yeah, I would play Allen Robinson over Josh Reynolds.
All right, would you play Deshaun Jackson or Josh Reynolds?
Keep going. I'll go all the way down. I'll give you my spot. I would play Demaryius Thomas before I play Josh Reynolds.
I think
I would play Reynolds.
I think I would play Reynolds.
I don't think they're good. See, everybody's so lofty expectations for Josh Reynolds. He's a great player. I was high on him coming out of college, but it's not just gonna be like, oh, let's just keep you. They have Todd Gurley, they have Cooper Kupp, they have options where it doesn't have to be like,
No,
Josh Reynolds.
Yeah, I'm talking about if Kupp and Cooks both sit.
Yeah.
I still don't know. I don't know that I'm gonna throw somebody out there like that.
But where do the targets get funneled to? Like Woods surely will have a ton of targets, and Gurley's probably good for 7 to 9 targets out of the backfield. But I don't think they suddenly start throwing to their tight ends. Like I just think that they have the way Sean McVay runs his offense. The wide receivers are heavily utilized. And like you said, I've always really liked Josh Reynolds. He walked into the worst possible situation.
I just don't think they're going to go in there and blow the doors off the Broncos, honestly.
Until they don't score 30 points, I'm going to assume they score 30 points. That's just the way I'm going to deal with the Rams right now.
Is there a Niners wide receiver that you would like to start? Because this is a good matchup. If you're talking about Aaron Jones and the great script, it's a great passing script for the 49ers. Like Garcon was getting all the targets, did nothing with it. Could be Kendrick Bourne.
Who's getting all the targets in the second half was Trent Taylor.
It caught the. Was that? Yeah, it was a touchdown.
Yeah, he got a touchdown. I feel like I got duped into Trent Taylor last year.
Yeah.
And then the week after he had to go like, oh, here's a guy who's going to get 10 targets, zeros.
What's the if he was healthy, I'd say Dante Pettis just because he has some modicum of an upside, but like I just don't know who you can trust in this team. Again, as I pointed out last week, like Pierre Garcon is being burnied on the field. Like he's dead. He's dead.
Is there a Redskins receiver you can start against Carolina?
Richardson, I guess.
Crowder?
No.
Like Crowder had his ideal matchup this week and did literally nothing.
The entire team did nothing.
Literally nothing. He had 5 catches for 60-something yards.
It's not bad.
Great.
You said literally nothing. That's wide receiver 4. That's wide receiver 3 in some leagues. It's PPR. I'm not saying start him in non-PPRs or wide receiver 2.
Christian Kirk or Larry Fitzgerald? It's got to be Christian Kirk right now,
it's
right?
Kirk until you realize.
It's Kirk right now. Is Fitzgerald is even near 100%?
No, he doesn't look like it.
Can't be.
Jags receivers. Pick one. I'm going with Cole.
Yeah.
Until somebody gets hurt, I'm going to continue go Cole, Dede, then Moncrief. I mean, that's going to be the role. That's going to be the situation, and that's not always going to be right. But that's the order I'm going to go in.
People, when I released this, people got on my case about how low I had Taylor Gabriel. Why did people think that Taylor Gabriel's like great all of a sudden?
He's had a couple
Trubisky's
nice
6 touchdown game.
Yeah, like Trubisky had an outlier game.
Yeah, but the game before that, he was sort of peppered with targets. But I don't think we're in a situation still where that's not the outlier. I think it's still pretty safe to assume that, look, the Dolphins don't have a great defense by any stretch of the imagination, but their secondary is all right. I just don't think this is a great matchup for anyone outside of Allen Robinson and Trey Burton.
And even then,
yeah,
they might just run the ball and score
and
on
if we are in a situation where Tariq Cohen is going to be the lead back, he also slots in terms of wide receiving options ahead of Taylor Gabriel.
Basically, I feel like with Gabriel, like you're taking a shot that he's going to score a touchdown. And that's just not a great shot to take when Trubisky's throwing.
And that's the problem, really. I mean, you look at his ADOT the first couple games and the opportunities he had. Like he had shots. I think it was who did they play week 2? Was that Dallas?
Who?
Chicago on Monday night.
Seattle.
There were 2 throws where Taylor Gabriel was running wide open down the sideline for an easy 70-yard touchdown, and Trubisky just missed him both times. Like his upside is unlocked when you have a quarterback who can throw a deep pass, and I don't trust Trubisky.
Is there a Dolphins receiver you can start?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
Can you start Tywan Taylor?
No. He got out-snapped by Tajay Sharp last week.
Yeah, it's not good. Taylor should be playing more.
That made no sense.
Seemed like it was happening, and then it didn't.
Yeah. We went through the whole preseason with it. He was looking good, and then we had Rashard Matthews come back. Rashard Matthews quits the team, and it's, hey, Tywan Taylor. I picked Tywan Taylor up in a lot of leagues, and then he gets out-snapped by Tajay Sharp, so there's your answer.
Chris Hogan, I have at number 57. You can't, can you play him?
You can't really trust him at this point.
You definitely can't trust him, but is he? If you have him on your team and you have a bunch of the Kiki Cuties and Marquez Valdez-Scantling and Tyler Lockett and those type of guys who are more consistent, or do you just be like, you know what? People be scoring in this game. I'll play Chris Hogan.
If you're in a standard league, I think that's a fine approach to have. But in a PPR where you can find someone with a 10-point floor, like that was the exact approach we had last week and on Thursday night. Like we knew the Patriots were going to score 40 points in that game. Some people played Chris Hogan because of that philosophy, and some weeks it's going to work out, but it's the dictionary definition of a flyer. I'd rather just play Kute, who I think is going to get me 10 points.
Is there it? Yeah,
Cutie.
He's just Kiki.
Kiki QT.
He said he's a Brazilian soccer player.
That is true.
Kiki. Is there anyone else from down here that you want to make a case for? Like Willie Snead, IV? He's real dehydrated.
Willie Snead's a floor guy. I brought him up this week. If you want to pick him up and you're desperate for PPR wide receiver value, but all he is like, if you look at his game log, it's been like 10, 11, 12, 11, 12. Like, if that's all you need, then just put him on your team.
I like what Carolina did with DJ Moore down the stretch. Like, they really went to him.
Here's
I don't think that's going to continue like into this week, but I think that if you do have a bench spot, he's worth having over like Ryan Grant at this point.
Yeah.
That's fine, but the biggest issue here is you have Riverboat Ron saying they're going to go slow with him the entire year.
I don't know how much you can put into some of this coach speak.
Well,
although
they haven't lied. Usually true.
They were like, we're going to give Christian McCaffrey 89 touches a game.
sure, they
That's
have
what I'm saying.
been honest.
Rivera's not Pete Carroll.
Is it worth owning Marquise Goodwin anymore?
No.
No.
Very dry. If you had to drop one, Hogan or Marquise Goodwin?
Oh, good one.
I would drop Goodwin as well.
And you just keep the receiver in the better offense.
Yeah. Quarterbacks. I got Mahomes at number 1, Brady at 2, Matt Ryan, Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson, Andy Dalton, Jameis Winston, Jared Goff, Cam Newton, and Russell Wilson. Then I have Andrew Luck, Baker Mayfield, Ben Roethlisberger, who, yes, I have him low. Stupid Ben. I don't trust Ben. I'm just ranking him low every week. I hate Ben. Phillip Rivers, Derek Carr, Carson Wentz, Alex Smith, Kirk Cousins. Basically, from Rivers up, the top 14, you can mix those guys around if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
I'm still on pace with, Cincy's defense looked okay last week in the second half.
Come on.
Yeah, they did.
I could look good playing defense against the Dolphins at this point.
And
Like,
they got bailed out by having the 2 touchdowns.
Well, put it this way, as someone who was holding a ticket that had Miami plus 6.5 on it, the fourth quarter was not my favorite.
Yeah, it's not great.
But they were able to get to the quarterback. They're going to be able to get to Ben, and every time Ben's been under pressure.
Again, I think I don't want to be like Dolphins downer because I can be for a very extended period of time, but we're talking about an offensive line that was missing 3 of its starters. I mean, the Steelers have one of the best offensive lines in football. I think it's an entirely different case.
Do you think Ben's going to go off here? Because people are already complaining, not Ben too low.
I think he deserves to be a top 10 quarterback. No. He came through for you last week. No. Why do you hate him so much?
Why the hell did you ask the question then?
No, because I just wanted to say no. When they go to the comment section and enter the contest, if anyone says Ben Roethlisberger, even if he scores the most points, blocked, you can't win.
That's fair.
Can't do it.
I like Russell Wilson this week, but there's no way I'm starting Russell Wilson over Ben Roethlisberger.
No, you've all gone mad. You want to rank Doug Baldwin at number 1?
How did you have Wilson as a top 10 quarterback, but no Seattle wide receiver in the top 40?
He's
not running anymore.
I don't know who he's throwing to. He was throwing to some guy named Chris Moore last week.
Oh, wait, hold on. He hasn't thrown to anybody because he hasn't topped 200 yards in the past 3 games.
Then who's Chris Moore?
Chris Moore. Who did Chris Moore
left?
Play for?
He's in. Where is he now? He's in Baltimore.
Russell Wilson's throwing to people. I don't even know who they are. I don't even know what their names are.
The point is he's not throwing. Like they have a 57% run ratio the last 3 weeks.
You know where David Moore is from? Eastern Central University.
He dropped that like it was supposed to mean something to me.
Yeah, what is that?
No, that's a real college. Eastern Central.
Oh. That would seem like a geographic anomaly.
Where is Eastern Central University?
Eastern Central.
That could be within the state.
I know, but I'd like to guess it's like
Michigan.
Yeah.
No. I'm looking for the city. Hold on. I forget what the city was.
Can you just give me the state.
What? No. Okay, it's Oklahoma. It's Ada, Oklahoma. I was looking for the city. Ada.
I don't even know that.
Ada, Oklahoma.
Great. Listen, I'm locked into Russell Wilson for the year.
I know you are.
You know
but you're locked into Doug Baldwin too.
Yeah, I know, but Russell Wilson's been better.
Fair.
Hey, Pat, you sure you want to have Patrick Mahomes number 1? I mean, because I was an idiot for telling somebody to use him over Blake Bortles last week.
No, really?
Yeah.
Although King of Garbage Time came through once again. Bless you, Blake Bortles.
I got the actually recap on Sunday night of you told me to stick with Patrick Mahomes and not pick up Blake Bortles.
I mean, how desperate do you have to be that if you ask some free guy on the internet for advice
to come back
and then it gets wrong, be like, "You ruined my season. Why don't you play your fucking team, you fucking coward?" Like, come on. It's your team to make the choices. It's on my team. I'm playing Russell Wilson. Like I said, I'm not good at this.
You have to.
I'm bad at this.
Kirk Cousins is too low.
Kirk Cousins is not too low. Arizona's defense is good.
It's not that
and
good.
He is going to get sacked.
They have 2 top 10 corners.
It's not that good, and it's very exploitable in the slot.
But again,
Adam Thielen.
And that's
Adam Thielen can eat all he wants. Adam Thielen's going to be fine this week. But, I don't imagine Kirk Cousins is going to have better numbers than he did against the Eagles last week.
Here's the problem. I agree with you. In theory, the Cardinals have a very good defense, but it doesn't matter what they do. They're going to be on the field for 37 minutes. And in that time, he's probably going to put up good numbers. But I think he would slot in ahead of Phillip Rivers for me. I don't need him to be a top 10.
I would still start Phillip Rivers, but I would move Wentz and Cousins both ahead of Carr and Smith.
But like you said, it's the top 14. Those are the guys you start.
I'm not feeling Cousins at all here.
Okay. I don't think you should start them.
I think Arizona could win. I think I can see this game being like 17-14.
So you think they're the team that Minnesota's the team just doesn't show up when games are supposed to
You
win?
wanna-
No, I think that, I am going to bet on Arizona, so I don't need to bet with you. It's plus 9.5. Like, doesn't that seem like an outrageous spread?
Yeah. But again, until that Cardinal offense actually can stay on the field for more than 25 minutes, it just puts their opposition in good fantasy situations.
They can do that, but
But
I don't.
by the way,
Minnesota has not impressed me whatsoever. I know they went in and beat Philly last week.
Philly has also not impressed you.
Yeah.
Yes.
all right. Well, then can I tell you who's way, 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 way too low?
Who?
Before you say it, this is the only team he ever continuously shows up against, putting up either 300 yards or 3+ touchdowns every single damn time they face each other, and that's Eli Manning.
Oh yeah, I'm not playing Eli Manning
Yeah, I can't do it.
Against the Eagles. I'm not
I'm
saying you can
not
play him, but
playing him. I don't.
there's
What's the difference?
no
He's
way
ranked
you could have
29.
Eli Manning that low.
I mean, there can. You're looking at the fucking list. I have it that way.
I mean, you're just not playing him. It
No,
doesn't really
I'm not
matter.
playing him. I don't care.
Look,
Like,
as I said, I have Odell as my wide receiver 3. There is where I will get my Eli Manning exposure to their best player, and that's all I want to do with Eli Manning this week. Is you throw the ball to Odell, and Odell can be great, and you can just kind of sit on my bench.
is Jameis too high?
No.
It's such a high total game. I mean, you'd really have to have him up there.
Jameis was on pace for 4,900 yards in his 11 healthy games last year, and I don't like to extrapolate like that, but the guy is going to pass the ball a ton in this game.
If even they don't know who their running back is, it would lead us to believe they're just going to keep throwing the ball.
I would tend to agree. Yeah, I'm definitely not moving up Cousins. And Ben, just fuck Ben. Fuck that guy.
He had a great game last week.
That's fine. He played in Atlanta.
That's fair.
And it could have been better.
Could have been.
And the one thing with Ben, James Conner, if he starts rushing in touchdowns, no bueno for Ben. And Vontaze Burfict's going to hit him like 8 times after the whistle. Try to kill him.
Yeah, but he can't be killed.
That's true. He is like kind of the bionic man.
Like, even if he gets hurt, it won't affect him this week. He'll just sit out next week. He doesn't leave games.
Would you play Beathard against Green Bay?
No.
No?
Siege?
See? Tight ends. This one is interesting just based on like some of the guys that you can pick up and play and some of the guys that have had like decent weeks that aren't in line to have great weeks here. So I got Gronk, Kelsey, Ertz. I don't think it really matters. The Ebron one's tough because if Doyle plays, how far would you bump down Ebron? He can't be number 4.
I think he'd have to kind of go behind like Kyle Rudolph, wouldn't
He'd be like number 12.
Yeah.
he? Yeah.
Yeah. Where would Doyle slot in? Like same like 13?
Yeah. Roughly that.
I'd
same
almost put
territory.
him back to back.
Yeah. But if back to back, you don't hear very many Requiem for a Dream references coming from Jake, but here we are.
That would be a Drake
Well,
reference.
especially
now,
because I
actually.
know that's what it was, and I have never seen the movie.
Well, it's not. It would actually be like the censored version, like the TV version of Requiem
The
for a Dream.
TBS.
Back to back. If Ebron doesn't play, though, 4 sounds right? Or if Doyle doesn't play, 4?
Sure. Yeah.
He's been really good.
There's literally nothing to say that he's not been a top 5 tight end when Doyle's not playing.
So you have like...
Because everybody leaves the Lions and becomes good,
So
except for the wide receiver.
you have the top 3. If Doyle doesn't play, I think it's like kind of clear cut that Ebron's number 4. Then you get into the sort of the mix like, there was a lot of Twitter buzz about Jordan Reed in the Monday Nighter, how he didn't do anything. But some weeks tight ends don't do anything.
yeah.
Like, is that going to deter you? Like, are you going to sit him?
No, I mean, Vance McDonald didn't do anything, but you're still starting him for his upside.
Yeah, I have Vance at number 14. I have Cameron Braid at 7. OJ Howard's not playing. Like, just
Sure.
Jameis is back in.
High scoring game.
He likes to throw to him. Like,
It's fine.
I play him over Graham. Jared Cook, that's where the fantasy pros he would come in.
I wouldn't play him over Graham against the 49ers.
Who?
Brett?
Great.
Oh, I would. He's great.
For the 49ers, what they give up to tight ends and touchdowns, I'd actually go Graham over Reed.
No. Lance Kendricks, maybe better than Jimmy Graham.
That's very true, but we're going for a touchdown here when it comes to tight ends. That's all you're hoping for.
Yeah, I mean, I can see Reed and Braid actually being involved in the game outside of catching their one pass for a touchdown.
Do you like Seals Jones and DFS this week? If
No.
you like Arizona.
No. Like, I just don't
Well, Minnesota's been highly susceptible to
I
tight
just
end.
don't think there's a lot of scoring in
He
that
got
game.
a goose egg last week.
He had 110 air yards. You love air yards so much.
No, I brought it up one time. I really think you sound like Pat now.
That's how I win
Yeah,
arguments.
that's true.
It's better against Tim, who just kind of like acquiesces to
Yes.
everything.
Now, we found this out last week.
Trey Burton, Kyle Rudolph, Njoku, Hooper, Vance McDonald. I like Swaim more than I like Ricky Seals-Jones.
I mean, Swaim is clearly their number one tight end.
Like, you need 8 points in PPR. Jeff Swaim.
Jeff Swaim.
Sure.
And
No, Uzomah needs to be ahead of Ricky Seals-Jones and Niles Paul. And
Nah,
probably...
Yeah, but you can get into a situation where he doesn't catch it. It's Croft who catches it.
It's not going to be. You look at the
It
usage from
definitely could be. It definitely could
no.
be.
Look at the usage from last week. They made it clear. They were making it clear up
Well,
until this point,
Croft did
heading
get
into this
hurt,
game.
too, in that game.
No, I don't care about Croft. Listen to me.
But I'm just saying, he got hurt. That's why Uzomah had so many snaps in that game.
Uzomah was being used as the number 2 even when Eifert was healthy, is what I'm about to say. So Uzomah last week, they are using him more as the number 1, as the number 2 on this team before Eifert got hurt. You look at this matchup, this is exactly what you want. The Steelers are one of the worst, if not the worst, against tight ends. You're telling me somebody that got goose-egged and Niles freaking Paul? I'm using Uzomah.
Rather play Niles Paul.
No way.
ASJ on IR, give me Niles Paul.
No. In the game that's going to get maybe 50 combined plays? No.
Oh, see, perfect. Just really take advantage of Dallas with the tight ends.
Oh, God, Dallas.
It's a game where, I mean, Jacksonville's offensive line is good. Dallas's pass rush is all right. Get that ball out quickly. Start throwing it to Niles.
This does do great things for your Shaughnessy bet, though.
Oh, yeah, O'Shaughnessy?
Yeah.
O'Shaughnessy's only a point behind Jordan Leggett, I want to say his name is.
Jordan Leggett, yes.
And Jordan Leggett caught a touchdown. O'Shaughnessy hasn't had his greasy touchdown yet.
It's true.
You don't even have O'Shaughnessy ranked.
Well, no. I just have a bet with him.
I know, but you should put him in at least now.
Why?
Because it's down to 2. We have no Safarian Jenkins.
I mean, do I even need to rank more than
20?
Just
Yeah.
put him at 40. No, just put him at 42, just so he's there.
Hayden Hurst came back. Can't play any Ravens tight end yet.
Again, this is what I've been saying.
I would still own Hurst.
Everyone was like, "Oh my God, how is he active and only playing 7 snaps?" Because they spread their snaps
They
around.
do,
at
but
tight
he's
end.
also coming back from injury.
Right.
Getting
They also
acclimated in the
draft
offense.
tight ends in 2s. They're like, "Oh, they have so much draft stock invested in this guy." Yeah, same with the other 3 guys they've drafted in the last 2 years.
I just think he's the best one. He's
Fair.
the best receiver of the bunch.
No. Mark Andrews is the best receiver. Hayden Hurst is the best all around.
I don't know. I think Hayden Hurst Helmsley is the guy you want to have.
He is, because he's the best all around, and he will get the most snaps once he's back to 100%, but he's not a better receiver than Mark Andrews.
Can you play, if you just wanted to roll the dice instead of playing with Jesse James or Ryan Griffin or Uzomah or any of these guys, roll the dice on Demetrius Harris?
You're just hoping for a touchdown. I'd rather roll the dice on Nick Vannett.
I think in that spot, Nick Vannett, another Seahawk, could end up doing stuff.
Yeah.
But with Harris, like, I feel like if he ends up doing anything here, it's like a 60-yard touchdown or something.
Yeah.
It's that or 0 points.
Right.
And that's the thing. It's all about your philosophy at this point. Like, Nick Vannett is probably going to score you 6 points.
And you also spelled his last name Harris.
Harus. Yeah.
Harris! I did. I'll circle that.
Yeah, where Demetrius Harris could possibly get you like 12 or 13 points, but I just think the likelihood of that is so small. I'd probably lean towards just like in
He's the Amari Cooper
DFS,
of tight
sure,
ends.
but in a season long league where you're replacing your tight end, like I think you just have to take the 6-7 points.
Okay, so if Doyle plays, it would bump Ebron down to like 11 or 12 with Doyle right next to him. If Greg Olsen plays, where would he go in? Or would he just not play him?
I think I'd still have him. I think I'd
I'd
still
have
rather
in front of
play
Ricky
Ebron.
Seals-Jones.
Yeah, but I'd rather play Ebron though.
Would you rather play Swaim or Greg Olsen?
In a PPR, Swaim.
Yeah.
All right. If Evan Ingram plays, how high would he go?
Ahead of
In front of-
Rudolph, maybe?
I was going to say in front of Burton.
So like number 9, so he'd become a top 10 guy.
Something like that, yeah.
So you would play him, basically.
Yeah, I'd play him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. Defenses, before we get out of here, I have the Bears at your Miami Dolphins.
Good for them.
That's going to be fun.
It's not.
Houston, Jacksonville, Minnesota, Green Bay, Rams, Baltimore, Jets, Philly, Arizona, Dallas, the Colts, Tennessee, Buffalo, Carolina, and Miami. Is there a particular defense that you guys really like? Because I mean, Green Bay is probably the best streamer. They were dropped en masse last week.
Yeah.
And they're only like 23% owned. Just go pick them up and play them against San Francisco.
Sure.
They have a good
I
pass
actually
rush.
have him as my top streamer. I think, you know what? I got to tell you, like Seattle, depending on which Derek Carr shows up, but I mean, you're getting desperate already.
I don't think that people are going to play Arizona's defense. I think you can play them pretty comfortably against Minnesota.
Sure.
Like, I have them
I'd
number 10.
rather play Arizona than Seattle. I mean, I just look at the competition level of competition Seattle's played this season when they haven't had to play the Rams. It's been like the Cardinals, the Cowboys,
The Bears.
the Bears. Like they've been bad and they haven't had to face anyone except for the Rams. It's just worrisome.
I'm just looking at it. Yeah, not a great week for like streaming Ds.
No,
Last week was awesome for streaming defenses. This week sucks.
you nailed the Lions.
It does.
Kind of. If they had taken one more step towards the end zone, it
Yeah.
would have been a lot better.
Yeah, I was really at about like 325. I was really hating my 100% exposure to Bengals defense.
And then
Turned around.
yeah, all of a sudden it
quickly.
got a whole lot better.
Yeah,
Arizona's team was good last week too.
Yeah.
They were really good last week.
I can say Fran.
Yeah, and they have opportunistic playmakers on defense as well.
Look, if Chandler Jones is going to play like that every single week, great. That gives them a very high floor on defense.
If there is a team too that you can really get to the quarterback on, we're constantly talking about how bad Minnesota's offensive line is.
Yeah, it's true.
Like they're going to be in the backfield the entire game. The Bills were in the backfield the entire game against them.
You
Arizona.
can go Colts for 0 or 15.
What's that?
I said you could go with the Colts for like a 0 or a 15.
I have the Colts at 12. I don't think the Colts are a bad play. Like Indy has a good
No, that's
pass
what I'm
rush.
saying.
Yeah, the Jets have a bad offensive line. Like that
Yeah.
makes sense to me.
Sure. No, again, like that sort of range, like Dallas is sort of a similar boat. Like they have a good defense fundamentally.
I really,
Jackson, we don't know what Bortles is going to
I really wish I had stuck to my guns last week. We were talking about it on me and Ulrich on the ownership show about playing Kansas City's defense. So like maybe because everyone wanted to play Bortles, that if you faded Bortles and played the defense,
Yeah.
that you could get almost like double points because everyone would be losing Bortles points and you would be gaining with your defense. Should have listened to me.
That was just such a
I didn't, but people should have.
Bortles chalk week is always one of the most fun.
Doesn't
weeks
go
on the
well.
slate.
There's a couple guys and it happens every once in a while when it comes down to chalk week. And I have Chris Raybon on tomorrow from the Action Network. We'll talk a little bit about this, but there are just certain guys that when they're chalk, like just don't play them.
Yeah.
Because it's going to work out 30% of the time, which is not great for chalk. You want chalk working out 90% of the time.
Yeah. Tends to be how it works.
Yeah, but you could have done a Bortles Chiefs and actually done well with both of them.
Yeah, right. I mean, in retrospect, like the guy won the Millie Maker with Rodgers. That was such an obvious play.
Yeah. Oh well. He looked healthy, and now I think we can definitively say is healthy.
Well, looks healthy. He was healthy.
I
He
know.
was
I
healthy
know
this
your
entire-
conspiracy theory. I know.
It's not conspiracy. He's
I know.
freaking Paul
I
Pierce
know.
crybaby. Look at me, I'm hurt. Like if they would have like that, I'm surprised they didn't come out of that game with like, oh, I wasn't 100% right against the Lions. Get the hell out of here.
Why does he hate it?
Yeah,
Who
what-
hates Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, how do you hate Aaron Rodgers so much?
Because he's a crybaby douche.
It's interesting. I
I
don't
really
think I've
like-
ever heard anyone hate
I really
Aaron
like
Rodgers.
Aaron. Very
Yeah.
introspective guy. He's kind of funny. I really like Aaron.
Gives you
Rodgers.
double checks
Yeah.
and discounts.
No, because in real life, if you ever seen him in person, he's a d-bag.
Have you met Aaron Rodgers? Did he buy a sandwich from you?
No, he didn't buy a sandwich. Yeah, he actually came into my restaurant and threw a sandwich in my face.
I would hate him too.
See, that sounds like a Pat Mayo kind of guy. Sounds like something I would do. I've thrown a sandwich at someone behind the counter before. In not my best of days, Garion. Not the best of days with me. All right, that'll do it on the Pat Mayo Experience. Hit the description or check out Twitter or my Facebook page, facebook.com/thepme to find all the updated rankings along with my work on DKPlaybook.com where you can also find Garion's work.
Hello. It's true. Mondays and Wednesdays, I'll have showdown pieces up. And if you read the DK newsletter, the Wednesday piece will be in that as well. I've been told that's a big thing. Yes, Pat.
There's a DK newsletter.
Apparently.
Am I in it?
Sure.
Oh, okay.
You're sometimes in the article.
Oh, great.
There you go.
I like to know what I'm involved with.
They tell me to just put "with help from my friends" at the bottom because they're never sure who's going to contribute to the article, but sometimes it's you.
I don't even know I'm contributing. What am I contributing to this
I
article?
think it's your hot picks.
Oh, God, no. Really?
Yeah.
Oh. They make me do the picks on a Monday for Thursday and Sunday.
Yeah.
So I can't pick guys like... I have to pick the most obvious people who are definitely going to play. Sucks.
Still blazing hot picks though.
They're blazing hot. Like, today, here are the most obvious players you could ever play. Here's my video. What can I do? I can't, like,
can't.
I can't give, like, oh, this guy may or may not play. If he plays, he's going to be really good. Well, can I say that? Because by the time they release it on Sunday, he's out. It's like, oh, yeah. Then I would get even more heat. It's a lose-lose situation.
Really is.
Jake, The Athletic, Waivers out, rankings out tonight at midnight or tomorrow at midnight?
It could be both. It's
Ooh.
Tuesday night, midnight, so Wednesday morning, 12:01 a.m. So there you go.
Sweet. What else is going on at the Athletic these days?
We're hiring everybody except for Garion.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah,
Going on strike.
Garion's getting boxed out.
As I've said, this is all because
Hey.
3 years ago I suggested to the Athletic that they start a fantasy department. So now they're keeping me under wraps so I don't sue.
Oh, see, look, Garion had the T-shirt before it was cool. I actually suggested, hey, look, I put it out there to bring you potentially on for baseball. So who knows?
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, Chris Meany just released the NBA draft kit if anybody cares about that, but also the All In Sports podcast. You guys know that, Tuesdays and Thursdays, and
Should probably
where
start
to find
thinking
all my
about
stuff. You
NBA.
just told everybody where to find my stuff.
I got like a draft in 3 days. I should probably start prepping for that a little
I
bit.
dropped out of my fantasy NBA league. The only one I'm in is the Legal Leagues one that me and Meany have the team in.
Yeah. Just follow his
We're
draft
first
kit.
place in football. We knocked off the Miz last week.
There you go.
He was getting real braggy on an email chain about how he was undefeated. We doubled his points. Our team is so good. We have to win. Came third in baseball. If we can win football, we can be like average in basketball and
You're good.
probably win this year.
There you go.
This is our one shot. We got one shot.
Like Eminem.
Like Eminem.
Nice.
So no more mom spaghetti. We're going to be good to go here.
There you go.
You can follow Jake on Twitter at AllInKid. You can follow Garion at Garion Thorne and myself on the Twitters, on the Instagrams, and the Facebooks at the PME. Remember to give the episode a like. Smash that like button. Leave your DK handle in the comment section. Tell me which quarterback you think will have the most points this week. If it's Ben Roethlisberger, denied, X'd out. You're ineligible for the draw for 20 DK dollars. And yeah, you know what? I can rig it like that. I can just throw you right out. So yeah, think about that when you're leaving the comments, all right? Also, leave something nice, say something nice. It would be really nice if you said something nice instead of really negative stuff all the time, right?
I agree.
Does the negative comments ever bum you out?
I don't read the comments. I learned long ago not to read the
I
comments.
don't either, but people now send them to me.
That's a good point.
It's
I will
not
say
good.
though, those 20 DK bucks get you 2 milli tickets this week.
Was it $10
It's a
this
10
week?
buck again, yeah.
You keep wavering it back and forth with me.
It was backed by popular demand, apparently.
Block them. You have the power to do all that stuff.
I have never blocked anybody. The only thing, actually, that's not true. The only blocks that I have are like those porn bots.
Sure.
Just if you block them, it like crushes the algorithm.
The
so
mute
they
button
won't-
is so much better.
Yeah,
You're right.
I probably have like 5,000
Yeah.
people mute.
No, see, I don't like the mute button as much
He
anymore.
likes
Now
the
it's fun to just
satisfaction of
block-
them knowing
Well,
they're blocked.
No, because so back when I was doing free things, it was good, but now that you can't get to my rankings without the paid access, I don't want you getting anything for free, so now you get a block.
I mean, that $2.99 a month from the Athletic is really just setting me back.
You would be surprised, Pat.
Really?
People don't like paying for stuff.
Yeah, they
Oh,
really
They
don't.
really don't.
With the first 2 weeks of the season, you should see the number of comments I got with like, "Oh, you ranked number 1 and now you have paid rankings." Oh, like it certainly got to your head.
I like how people think you shouldn't
Yeah.
be able to make a living.
I like how people think like you've worked your way to be the best at something and now you don't deserve to get paid because of that.
Right. And it's
People are
like, it's
great.
my choice. I'm working for the Athletic. They are employed. It's not like I'm doing it on my own. And here's like $10 to get my rankings.
Just like the Roonies.
Yeah,
Le'Veon Bell. Pay the man.
paid the man his money. Anyway, that'll do it. Thank you all for watching. Please subscribe to the audio version of the Pat Mayo Experience. You can do that on Stitcher, Podomatic, wherever the hell that you download podcasts. You can find the Pat Mayo Experience. Good luck in Week 6. I'll be back rest of the week with DK picks, with the spread show, with the update. Boom. Live Sunday morning, 10 a.m. Gary and I will be taking your questions. All right? See you then. I'm Pat Mayo, and I'll see you next time.
Pat Mayo Experience! Experience!